Doing hashtag Pheli Cares. This is what we get up to every Monday at 12:30. Le Ausi Eunice. And today we are speaking addiction, different types and how to overcome, and just everything pertaining to that. Good afternoon, Ausi Eunice.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to Barietsi Kalarato. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic today. Worker addiction, and in most cases, but addiction is, very limited, or it's all about, the known addiction, but it goes beyond that. Addiction is something that you start doing it as a habit, and a habit you continue to be something so feeling you cannot live without. You are depending on that particular thing, and then here's the thing. Or happiness how is based on it. You feel very down and unhappy. So something that also developing, also learning, and then if it's more extent that you cannot live without that thing, you believe is part of you. Even if that thing mentally, emotionally, physically, or start to develop a malwetse a rileng because of that particular habit. You tend to justify it, but now it's a henga secret tunyana. My day it be complete. Like we usually say, not on the fit look high by it, a day without that thing. It's not a good day for me. So let's review it, and I would like Barretsi to participate on this one, because yes, there are people by long define or they have an addiction and they need to attend to it because it's not healthy for them. And back on by that. The habit and the dependency that they had. So let them share with us more that particular addiction. And also those that are feeling they are in addiction and they want to get out of it. Let's have their comments as well. And then achieve on dealing with an addiction. So Renale, different types of addiction. I'll start the well-known ones, like alcohol is known, and we can easily identify alcohol by the behavior, by each person, it's totally very destructive and impulsive. That is contrary to life high. So we can easily identify it. It's actually, you tend to behave in a different way. And then addiction, the drug addiction, which we know commonly body cocaine, and when is common these days in community arena, and then bucket, you can mention, but you can also be addicted to it as well. So the gambling addiction, Leona, is known. If Moto such a high to extent isafarisa yena coordinated high their safara, because how can you meet at a high as an individual, and then happy how can you meet the financial needs the family high, and it affect the happy the work environment, because if you have a gambling addiction, you end up not even having money. So it affects all the areas of your life, but still you continue with the gambling addiction. So the other one, I think I mentioned, food. You can actually be addicted to food.
Yes.
In a sense that you overeat, okay? And as you overeat, things they are not good for your body. Experience obesity. And an obesity on its own, it's a health condition. It needs to be managed. And and opposite to that, we find people who are obsessed with the body image. Or start a diet on a particular time, which is good to diet or in a certain way. But you overdo it, in that or develop body anorexia, which is also a medical condition, and it works against you. Or diet wa fitisa, you don't have control over that diet anymore. As a result, it works against you. Now it's becoming a medical condition. Yes.
Yeah, now I see that addiction can indeed be broken down into three categories. Your physical addiction, which has things that you've mentioned, your substance abuse, nicotine, drugs, alcohol, and the likes, as well as your behavioral addictions, that being, junk food, whatever, porn addiction, those things also exist. And there's impulse control disorders. And this is the inability to control one's emotions. And under that, there's also conditions of your kleptomania. I've learned that this is an addiction, and other things that may fall under impulsive control disorders. I want to know, Ausi Eunice, under this category of addictions, are these things that a person is born with, or do they develop are they formed by background? Because yeah, how does this kind of addiction come about?
All right, I would say it's both. What we call a genetical makeup. And you'll find that in a history, if you look at the generation in the past who identify with the same behavior. So it can be both. And some you just learn. You learn it as you're growing up. And then you get away with it. And as a result, because then it grows, because auto start out 10 rand. And then you get away with it. What ka 50 rand. Yeah, it means this thing was, if I can do it wisely, I can succeed. 1,000 or I want to increase. So it becomes what? It becomes your lifestyle. Because you have survived before, and as a result, it has proven you might get away with it. But is it good for you? Is it good for, because at the end of the day, it doesn't end well. Because you might end up
yeah, not always will you get lucky.
You'll be behind bars, and that will be talking a different story. So yes, it can be both. Just like alcohol. Yeah, you might find addiction in more family. There's been several people who have been, suffering from the alcohol addiction dependency, and then now you are one of them. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean if we beat her, then it means on it.
Yeah, I've seen some very bad addictions, especially where alcohol is concerned. Somehow le ha sna tšhelete mo yena man, le ha sna plan mara o khona o tswa ka motlung a chaile mara a boe a le metsi a kitso plan o ekrile guy, but they'll always do what they want to do to feed their addiction, right?
Yes. And with alcohol addiction, it's a very challenging addiction, because you can get it anyway. It's easily accessible. Alcohol, even if but somebody whatever I go get this, and then you are tempted to say tomorrow somebody especially this festive seasons, you get it function, so people they tend to have a bit of a challenge to deal with alcohol addiction because of the accessibility, I think.
And speaking of alcohol addiction, on Facebook we also asked what people's addictions are, how they got hooked to these things, and how they plan on overcoming. So we have a comment come from Amplifier the chef. Yana Aring, I'd say my addiction is alcohol.
Okay.
And I got hooked to it because I was a resident DJ from 2018 until 2022. So negenwa almost every day. Le no hangate ya 2 days sigisanwe. Ke petala matsoho. So yeah. What would you say are the steps that one should take if they want to start overcoming? I'm talking from avoiding triggers, avoiding the environment, activity, people partake in it. I mean, what are the necessary steps that one should start with, even the smallest of steps?
Yes, it starts change and commitment is very important on an individual. Just like, the comment there, 2 days, that's how it starts. You don't have to say from today, I can't do it, because it might be a challenge and you might feel, this thing is difficult because you can't. And just low sleeping. Maybe in a week time, then it means this thing is difficult, I'll never do it. 2 days is the best. You start small by reducing. The main thing is have control over the intake. Don't allow alcohol to take over your life and then you lose the control and you believe without it you can't function. That's where the problem is. But the minute you start maintaining that control, then you are getting rid of the addiction. And it will also help to have like a chart. Okay, for maybe you were drinking 24/7 and then you managed a few hours, and the next time you increase it to a day, and then it's 3 days, 4 days, 7 days. It will also guide you, that chart. But don't be too hard on yourself. If you sleep, then it means you're not going to make it. Remember, it's a disease on its own, so it needs to be managed so that at the end then you are in control and not the other way.
All right. Now, for someone that always says, they've tried and they always find themselves going back, like the ones by Longore, but you are balathelwa in rehab against their will. They go straight back. Is it because nehosna the willingness from the addict themselves to say baba hapelleditse?
Yes, like the significant others, but your family who are mostly affected. Yes, they will say that and give you a ultimatum. It's either you go or we are out of your life. And then what would you do? You go. With that purpose, I'm going for their sake, not my sake. So with the rehab, it has to be when wanting to go. And if you are forced, then it should be cautioned. And even the families that are forcing people to go, well, they are not ready. It's not going to work. It has to be a partnership. A person should be ready, and then let me offer option. Okay, you can go. Even if you don't go, you are still one of us. But no, this is how then we are going to live. And the person must make a choice, knowing there are consequences. I forgot to mention the social media, which is very popular, and the addiction as well is there.
We are guilty.
Okay, yes. So, but they don't see it as an addiction. You are on social media, got the AMs, you can't sleep and all that. It affects your functionality. Because sleeping is enough, especially those that are going to school and work. You find in the morning you've been on social media, and then when you go to school you are tired, when you go to work you are tired. So give yourself a break. It is an addiction, is developing. You can't live without social media.
Le phone le mo chargering a khona itlohela for a couple of hours. Onna le yona mo chargering mo wa iberekisa until ifisa, until it switches itself off. I'm overheating. That's how bad this addiction is.
Yes, it is. So it is, as long as you don't have control over a thing, addiction has that. So you must be very concerned of a behavior and it doesn't really develop you much, but it works against you, and it's how at the end your issues are suffering because of this habit.
Yeah, I think Batoka Bunchi they downplay certain addictions because as long as it's ang hobatse mo mmiling, it's ang robatse spetlele, or my life is not threatened because of it, then it's not that serious.
It's not that serious, but what about your plans?
Yeah,
what about your
psychologically
goals?
as well.
Yes, it does affect, because go for long for the whole month you have been following, people on the social media
that are making things happen.
Making things happen, and at the end, where is yours?
Yeah.
Your goals are suspended because you are now looking at, I want to know who you feel like this thing. Yes. So it's very important to review that, to say, well, how much time do I give to myself? How much time do I dedicate to myself? Yes, social media is there. It's important. We have to go in some time, but then don't make it preoccupy your life, because at the end, it's you. Your life is going to suffer.
All right. No, thank you very much, Ausi Eunice. This was a very interesting chat, and we could go on and on for
and on.
Yeah,
yes.
Honestly. But any final words that you'd like to leave us with regarding addiction? To people that are dealing with an addict. Let's speak to those people. How do they handle any kind of addiction? How do people in a household need to behave and handle that is addicted to something?
Yes, it's not easy to deal with a person who has an addiction. And acknowledge the fact that you cannot live their lives. You can only advise and you can support them as they are trying to deal with the addiction. Until a person realizes this is not healthy for me, this is not good for me, this I don't like it, then it will be a challenge. But I don't like this anymore, it's part of me, help me to get through this addiction so that I regain my life and I regain myself and my goals in life. Then you are starting somewhere else. But patience, Leona, is important, because all of us renality processes and one. So especially to parents, this one, or you might find a teenager a particular addiction. The person is still young, is growing up, so don't give up on them. They might go through a phase, a lot of confusion and exploring things, and it's never too late for them. Don't say, but my son, so that's it. Hold them by hand, and one day, but just some maturity, then they will know, this is not me, I don't want it anymore. And you might be so surprised that you will save them. So don't give up on them. Let them not give up on themselves, because they have an addiction. Addiction doesn't make you who you are, but it's a behavior that you have learned and believed in yourself. You cannot live without, but actually you can live without it, because it's not your makeup, but you are better than the addiction. And addiction, you do have that will. You don't realize you've got it, but you can manage that addiction until it disappears.
Thank you. Those are powerful words indeed.
Yes.
And we will be with you next week, Monday.
Thank you so much. Bye.
All right, that is Ausi Eunice. If you don't know, every Monday from 12:30, she is in the studio and we tackle different issues, from your mental health to abuse to addiction to just everything that you need to know about. Now it is 12:54. We'll be crossing over to the third hour of the show, Mortlo, breaking down today's brand starter that we are within. Every form of addiction is bad. Hauna addiction ailing a little bit better than the other. Whether it's narcotics, whether it's alcohol, whether it's food, whether it's social media, gambling, stealing, whatever the case may be. But there's honestly no shame in you you starting over again. Giving yourself a chance to build a better life for yourself than before. Starting over may mean that you may have to lose certain things, gerale those friends that you used to engage in these things with, and that's absolutely okay. Because the thing about addiction is that it is a disease and it makes you very, very selfish. That how born even the havoc that you create around mapelo, other people around you, just because when you got this thing, So either way, if you don't take care of it, you will lose some people around you. So whether oba loser ka addiction or oba loser because you're trying to do better by yourself, by chugging them away, especially the ones that are bad for you. But thank you so much for choosing 95.0 at this point in time. We'll be getting into our news. This one here is Chris Lopez, Addicted to You. Good afternoon.
It's the Capital Lunch from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Pheli FM 95.0.